Welcome to Session Sunday. Hi guys, it's Jack Edwards, and in today's session we're going to be taking a look at playing with a back five. But before we get into this week's video, make sure to leave us a like and subscribe, and if you missed last week's video, click on the link above. Okay, so moving into the first part of this week's session, we're going to be taking a look at a possession-based drill. Okay, so maintaining possession when we've got the ball, so with our three centre-backs, the wing-backs and the midfielders. But before we get into it, let's have a look at how many players we've got this week and the equipment that we'll be using. So in terms of players, we've got 14 players, including a goalkeeper. So 13 outfield players plus a goalkeeper, but we can adapt that for more or less players. So you have more players, you can look to maybe bring your attackers in as well, so your front three. And then you can look to bring in maybe full-backs and centre-backs from the opposite team. If you have another goalkeeper as well, you can add them into each area for where we only have one team scoring at the moment. Both teams can score. And if you don't have a goalkeeper, try and place that with obviously a coach or a volunteer or anyone who can get involved to be the goalkeeper. If not, you can just try and use small-sided goals or poles to act as a goal instead. In terms of the equipment, we're just looking at balls, bibs and cones. And then again, if you don't have small-sided goals and you want to use them, then you can use the poles instead. In terms of the setup for this part of the session, okay, in terms of the depth, so from the goal line to like the midfield in here, okay, it's going to be 25 yards. Okay, and then we're going to have 15 yards further for the midfield area. You can increase that if you want to, especially if you have more players. So 40 yards of total depth, okay, and then centrally in here, we're going to have 25 yards of width, again, with then 10 yards either side, so about 45 yards. Again, with the players that you're working with, if it's younger players, you can look to decrease it a little bit more, okay, because obviously they can't cover the ground as quickly. If you've got more players, you can look to make it a little bit wider, and if you think it's a little bit too tight, then you're looking to make it wider again. So, it's going to work with the Blues are going to be the team in possession. So when we're setting up with the ball, okay, we're trying to stretch the pitch. So our centre-backs are looking to split, okay, with our central centre-back as well, looking to control the ball. Wing-backs get wide, okay, and the midfielders looking to link the play. So to start off with, you can have the players locked into their zones, okay? You can progress it where players aren't, so then the centre-backs can come even wider. You can get midfielders dropping it in. You can even get wing-backs dropping into these areas. So they're just looking to maintain possession. So at the moment, against these five players, there's going to be an overload with the four, and then it's 2v2 with the middle players in here, okay? So with the opposition, you could set up in a two there, like a 4-4-2, have two players maybe pressing the centre-backs and then two players pressing the wide players. So they can move into the wide areas, okay, the green players, but they can't move into this area here, okay. So for the Blues, it can start with the goalkeeper or it can start with the coach playing the ball in. So the Blues, they're just looking to maintain possession, okay, to be patient, look to keep the play going, okay, can you play forward when we can? So it's kind of like a rondo, but a positional-based rondo. Okay, so it's like a 5 and a 2, or a 3 and a 4 if your wing-backs are pushing further up. So that's what we're trying to do. When the ball moves higher, okay, can the wing-backs move up? Keep combining, okay, keep that ball moving. Centre-backs look to get on it as well, at all times, so being confident to receive the ball. The greens are looking to actively press, okay. So for themselves, can we put ourselves in a position to receive it? So centre-backs can one drop off, not playing off the same line, can one drop off to receive it. The other player moves wide. So we're creating that space. Okay, we're getting our width and then we're getting our height with our players, our centre midfielders here. But we're looking for their movement. Can maybe one player move in, player spin out to the receiver? Can we play wide? So we're breaking through those lines of pressure. In terms of the greens, they look to win the ball back and then go and attack the goal quickly. When this happens, okay, we're looking for it to be a 4v5, okay? So we're looking for the fullbacks to get back in quickly, okay? So narrow off and prevent that route to goal, okay? So we can, in those central areas, restrict the opportunities to go towards goal. When we win it back, look to secure the ball, maintain possession, okay, get our width, okay, get our height again with our midfielders to play into, and then look to secure the ball. Like I say, as progression, you can remove the zones, so it's just anyone can move anywhere, but we're still trying to do the right things, keeping our midfielders in between the lines to receive the ball and continue the play moving on. We will now move into our first animation before moving on to part 2 of this week's session. Now moving into part 2 of this week's session, we're now going to be taking a look at pressing to then transition. Okay, so we've looked at possession, or to maintain possession. Now we're going to look at pressing, okay, and then we're going to look at compact defending after that. So the setup for this part of the session, so from the goal line to the box in here, is going to be 30 yards, okay, so giving us lots of room to attack. And then in this area here can either be 30 yards again, a little bit less though, going with 25. Again, you can increase it based on the amount of players that you have. So you kind of want the centre-backs to start away from the goalkeeper to start with. So for the Greens, they're looking to score in these areas here. They have to receive out wide though before they go and score, okay, or drive into that area from the middle. It can only be the middle players who do it. In terms of the width, okay, we're going to go 40 yards, okay, so 30 yards central, 10 yards either side. So the Blues, this is representing our 2 midfielders, our 2 fullbacks and our front 3, okay. So our front 3 are looking to stop the balls going in. So we've got that overload, okay. So what these players can do, okay, one of the fullbacks, they can come out. If they receive it out here, they can drive into there, okay. So it can be when the centre-back's got the ball, can they look to come in there? When the ball goes centrally, can they look to support that in this area? To stop, to then look to play out and play forward or drive. So for the centre mids, they're looking to lock on if they can, okay. For the wing backs, provide that overload, okay. So that's what we're looking to in these wide areas, get our overload with our wing backs pushing on, okay, to support the press, and our wingers also preventing balls into the fullback. So when the centre backs have got it here, our striker looking to screen the passes, winger looks to pressure. Look at that, we're ready to jump out, okay. We're maintaining that compactness, but we're ready to jump out. So if the ball does go out there, okay, and this player does look to drive in, okay, we're showing them inside. Okay, when we show them inside, we're narrowed off, okay, there's not many options. We look to pinch the ball, and then we can spring into attack, use our overload. Anyone's free to move anywhere, okay, so can we get support from the fullbacks as well? Midfielders look to provide that support behind the ball if we do lose it, okay, so when the attacker's got it here, can they look to combine quickly, play into our attacker here, and then look to score. To be able to win it though, we've got to think of the triggers as well. So a bad pass, a slow pass, a back to goal, especially in this area, okay, a longer pass on the triggers, kind of be a mistake as well, so we're looking at a poor touch. But other than that, look to maintain the compactness and then jump when we can, but we've got to do it as a team. So if the centre-back's got the ball and they play to the left-back, okay, and only the right winger jumps out to press the ball and everyone else stays behind it, okay, it's going to be easy for them to break out, okay. We've just got players screening passes, this player's moving around, okay, and it plays into the centre-back and he's sprinting again, but there's no support from anybody else. It's too easy for the player to open out and play. Whereas if the left-back's got it and we're looking to press, we then want the centre-forward ready, okay, everyone else is anticipating it, goes across, next line of pressure, goes across, next line of pressure. So we're jumping out as a team, everyone's sensing that danger, so then when the ball comes into an area and then they try and play quickly, we can look to spring it into attack, okay, drive, and then finish. So it's got to be done with urgency, got to anticipate things, so our decision making as well, our awareness, and also our concentration, okay? So staying focused at all times to try and win that ball. If you do have more players, you can obviously add maybe an extra player in the middle for the Greens to have as well. You can even have a floater on their team, which can also be a spring into attack for the opposition team. You can have your defence behind, you can have wingers maybe as well for the Greens. But for now, they're trying to drive that ball into there or receive it in that area to then score. We're trying to prevent that, pressing in here to then quickly go and attack the goal. We will now move into our next animation before moving on to the final part of this week's session. Okay, so moving into the final part of this week's session, we're now looking at a drill which is focusing on our defensive compactness. Okay, so we're going to split it into 3 areas. Okay, so then we're trying to, when the ball's in certain areas of the pitch, that's where we want to be defending in. Okay, so in the final third, we're going to have 20 yards in the midfield third, 15 yards, okay, and in the opposition's final third, a further 20 yards. You can increase this midfield third if you want, but we want it to be tight in there because we don't want much space in between the lines, okay? So in total is 55 yards of depth, and we're going 40 yards of width total. Again, you can decrease that and increase that depending on how many players that you've got. So obviously if you have more players, look to maybe put attackers in there. Okay, you can look to have attackers screening in here as well. So the coach will play into the greens. They have to move the ball through the thirds to score, so they can't just go into that final third. They have to move the ball through the thirds to score. Progression can be that they can play straight over, so we're focusing on our defensive line. But because they've only got 6 players, then they do need to play through more because it's going to be harder to play over. So what they're looking for is these players in here acting as fullbacks and wingers, okay, to try and get into this final third, players that can move into here. So for us, when this ball is high in here, we're looking to prevent the spacing behind, but also entice that ball into the midfield area, so then we can look to win the ball in areas where we've got an overload. So we're kind of happy for these centre-backs to have the ball. If there's pressure on the ball, we can pressure it. If they do look to step in, okay, then we can start to look at, okay, where's our shape going to be? Do we drop a little bit more or do we step and win it? Depending on a trigger as well. So if they've got comfortable possession, maybe drop, protect the space, and then when the ball comes into here, look to step, okay, as a unit, prevent any forward passes going through. So the centre-backs look to split, playing the ball, looking for those chances to play into this midfield area. When it goes in there, like we say, we're staying compact. Our full-backs get out and defending wide areas with our midfielders, covering inside, so if the ball goes in there, okay, looking to screen it away from going forward. They're going to have players breaking the lines, or they can drive into there. Our centre-back behind the ball, looking to stay compact as a unit, okay, stay close to each other, not split, okay, which means that there is a chance for the ball to get played in behind, protect that space, the only space being in these wider areas. So when the ball travels in there, we can look to win the ball. So for the Greens, it might be harder for them to get some success. You can even look for the centre-backs to bring the ball into here as well, or you can even have one player and have an extra player in the final third if you wanted to as well. So then if they have one centre-back just looking to receive the ball, you can maybe say players can drop in to receive it and then take the ball in there. And then they've got a link in that final third, so it's not always focusing on the runners. But the players in this area, when they got the ball, should be looking to go forward. Okay, should be looking for players to go into that final third. So we're looking to reduce the space and the gaps to play into that area. And if you look at it here, we're creating these triangles here. So the space in between, okay, the players, okay, is covered by the defender in there. So the pass through there is covered by the centre-back. The small gaps that there's always got to be some gap because the players can't stand next to each other. Okay, so the small gaps in between, which are very hard to pass through anyway, you've got the centre-back covering in behind. So when that ball shifts wide, we come across as a unit, okay. When that ball comes back into central areas, okay, we look to pressure and get players around the ball, okay, to again prevent that pass going forward. Okay, so staying compact, okay, staying patient, but then anticipating where the ball might be, so then we can look to win it. And then when they do win it, the Blues, okay, are trying to get the ball into this area first before then playing into the small side of the goal, which then gives the Greens a chance, if they win it, to transition, which means that the defence, okay, a line of pressure might be broken, and then we've got to think about our 1v1 defending a little bit more. We will now move into our final animation before concluding this week's session. Thanks for watching this week's video. Don't forget to head over to our website where you can sign up to view all of our exclusive content. And we'll see you next week for another Session Sunday.